So, blockchain. You've probably heard that word 1,000 times, right? It's usually wrapped up in all this confusing tech jargon. But what if I told you it's not really about technology? At its heart, it's actually a quest to solve one of the oldest human problems we have. How do we trust each other?
Okay, to get this, let's start with a really simple, kind of crazy question. Imagine you had a digital dollar. What would actually stop you from just copying and pasting it, just like you would with a photo, and spending it over and over and over again? That one single problem? Well, that's the thing that made true digital cash seem impossible for decades.
So to understand the solution, you've first got to see how we track money now. It's really just a ledger, a big list of who has what. Over on the left, that's the world we live in today, a centralized ledger. Think of a bank with one single master record. But on the right, you've got this wild new idea, a decentralized ledger with thousands of identical copies. And this creates a huge difference. With a bank, what you really have is a claim on your money. With this other system, you have direct control. We're about to see why that little distinction changes absolutely everything.
So, let's dive into the system we're all familiar with and explore why some people call it the fragile ledger. A centralized ledger is, basically just a record of who owes what, and it's all managed by someone in the middle you're supposed to trust. When you use Venmo or swipe a credit card, you're not actually sending money directly. You're just asking a company to open up their big master file and update the numbers to show you have a little less and someone else has a little more.
And right there, that's the fragile part. This whole system has what's called a single point of failure. If that one central authority, the bank, the payment app, if they get hacked or if their servers crash or, hey, even if they just decide to freeze your account, your access to that money is just gone. You don't actually control the money, you just control a claim to it. For the longest time, having this central party was seen as the only way to solve that huge issue we started with, what we're calling the copy-paste problem.
Let's be a little more technical for a second. The real name for this is the double spend problem. See, in the physical world, it's easy. Once I hand you a dollar bill, it's yours. I can't give that exact same bill to someone else. But in the digital world, everything is just data. And data is designed to be copied perfectly. And this lays out the dilemma perfectly. With a bank, step 3 is everything. The bank sees you set your coin to Alice, it marks it down in its master ledger, and if you try to send that same coin to Bob, it just says, nope, sorry, already spent. But take the bank out of the equation, and you've got chaos. You could send that same coin to Alice and Bob and Carol all at the same time. So for years, that was pretty much it. Case closed. You needed a bank. But there was this group of, digital pioneers, you could call them. They were known as the Cypherpunks, and they believed there had to be another way. For them, this wasn't just a technical challenge. It was an ideological mission. You see, the solution didn't just appear out of thin air in 2008. It was built on decades of earlier ideas. Things like proof of work, which was actually invented to stop email spam, believe it or not, and these early proposals for decentralized money were floating around for years. They were all just pieces of a puzzle, waiting for someone to finally put them together.
And this quote really gets to their motivation. The cypherpunks argued that as our entire world moved online, our financial lives shouldn't be controlled and watched over by these huge central companies. They dreamed of creating a type of digital cash that acted just like physical cash. You could hand it from one person to another, privately, without anyone being able to stop you. Which brings us to 2008, and the arrival of this mysterious, anonymous figure named Satoshi Nakamoto, who finally showed everyone how all the pieces fit together. So here's the key thing to get. Satoshi's genius wasn't necessarily inventing every little part from scratch. The real breakthrough was in the combination, in the recipe. It was about taking proof of work from one project, the idea of a decentralized ledger from another, and weaving them together into the very first system that actually solved the double spend problem without needing a bank in the middle.
So, by solving that problem, Satoshi created a system that plays by a totally new set of rules. There are 3 key attributes here that are unlike anything you'll find in traditional finance.
The first rule is immutability. Because of the super clever cryptography that links all the transactions, or blocks, together, once something is confirmed by the network, it's basically set in digital stone. You can't just go back and edit the past. It creates this permanent, unchangeable history of everything that's ever happened.
The second rule is radical transparency. A bank's ledger is a secret, a private database. A public blockchain like Bitcoin's is the exact opposite. It's a completely open book. anyone in the world can look at the entire history of transactions and prove for themselves that the rules are being followed. You don't have to trust anyone. You can verify it yourself.
And finally, censorship resistance. This brings us right back to that single point of failure. Because this ledger is held by thousands of computers all around the globe, there's no CEO you can call, no single server you can shut down. No single person or company can block you from sending or receiving value on the network.
And that really brings us to the heart of it all. Blockchain isn't just about digital money. It's a system for creating trust between strangers without needing a referee in the middle. It basically turns trust from an institution into a piece of software. And that leaves us with a much, much bigger question. When you can remove the need to trust a person or a bank, what else becomes possible?